What's up, everyone? Thank you so much for tuning in. Excited to be back for another live stream. I hope you're having a great Friday. What are your weekend plans? Let me know where you're tuning in from. It has been, we just got back from a couple days in Sonoma County. So we live in the San Francisco Bay Area, and Sonoma is kind of up near like wine country area. And it was just like a really wonderful couple days to get away. We went with the kids and everything. So it was just so much fun. So, hey, Diana, what's going on? Hey, Sarah. Nice to connect. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Today is a very special live stream because as some of you who follow, happy someone on LinkedIn. I can't see. That's so awesome. I, for some reason, cannot see who it is on LinkedIn that is commenting. So if you want to let me know in the chat who you are, where you're tuning in from, that would be awesome. Tuning in from Atlanta. So today is a very special live stream because as those of you who are on my email list know that enrollment for cohort number 3 of my Brand Deal Wizard program is open right now. And it's a shorter enrollment period this time. So there's only 5 days. So enrollment ends on Tuesday this time, and class actually starts on Thursday. So it's a quick one. I got some feedback that, a lot of people are traveling this summer. This course is going to be lasting from June 10th until July 1st. So I wanted to provide a little bit of additional details about the program because I've been getting a lot of emails and questions and DMs and things like that. So first of all, the fact that I'm already on cohort number 3 is actually absolutely mind-blowing to me. But I'm so excited to, provide this on a consistent basis. So one of the first questions that I've gotten is, like, when is the next cohort going to be? Or like, how often am I going to be doing these? And so, most likely I'm going to be doing them once a quarter. So, 3 to 4 times a year. So the next cohort is not going to be until the fall, probably like late September timeframe, early October, I'm thinking. So if this is something, if you still have some like goals for the year, income goals, personal goals, business goals, things like that, in terms of like the amount of money that you want to make this year or the amount of growth that you want to see, then, if you want to get in on this now, I would suggest doing so, unless you do want to wait until later in the year, in the fall, in September, late September, that type of thing. And so again, it definitely depends on how many students I have for each cohort. That's the other thing too, is I'm trying to gauge like in between cohorts and the downtime when I'm not doing the courses, like how much interest I'm getting in terms of like, how quickly people are wanting to enroll. In this situation, I had a lot of people who really did want to do it at the beginning of the summer, which is why I kind of made the enrollment period a little bit more aggressive in terms of a timeline than in the past. So and Gabriella from LinkedIn, thanks for tuning in, Gabriella. And Diana's tuning in from Fort Worth, Texas. Hey, Ashley, what's going on? So I'm super stoked. I've already gotten some people enrolled in the program. It's going to be a really good one this time. One of the advantages I will say about, participating in this cohort is that I definitely have honed the material from the first 2 cohorts. So I've gotten a lot of feedback from a creator alumni from those programs who have given me advice about what to include, what to take out, what portions of the instruction can be, amped up. And so that's been a really great experience. It's just like week over week, cohort over cohort, I've been able to improve the material, and I'm just continuously adding stuff and supplemental material and things like that. So that's one thing that I'm stoked about. Hey, Max, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in. Okay, so that's the first thing. So the second question is just about the private community. So one of the big announcements for cohort number 3 is that I'm migrating the private community to a platform called Geneva. Previously, it was on a private Facebook group, and I'm going to be migrating it over there. So a couple things that I've learned, just kind of a little bit of a peek behind the curtain of running the course and things like that, is that I got some advice. I was kicking the tires on there's a lot of different kind of like community platforms that you can use when you're running a program, a course like this. And I kicked the tires. There's a couple of them called like Circle, and there's one called like Mighty Networks and things like this. And I definitely kicked the tires on a lot of them. But one of the pieces of advice that I got from other course creators before I even launched this like last year was that you should go where your students are. Right. And, for the most part, like my students, the creators who are interested in participating in this program are social media creators. And where do most of them spend time? Instagram and Facebook, right? Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and things like that. And so, a private Facebook group seemed to make the most sense, because what you really don't want to do is you don't want to introduce a bunch of friction into the process for students to be able to interact with each other. And so I went for the first 2 cohorts, I went with a private Facebook group, and it worked reasonably well. It was okay. But this was some of the feedback that I got, was that it was very difficult to keep track of the, information that was being shared in the private Facebook, right? There's so much stuff in people's feeds that it's just very easy to miss that, right? So you have to actively go out and search for that group to be able to find that information, right? So that was one challenge. The second challenge is that Facebook is just not a great way to organize information. So it's a feed, right? So if you're wanting to organize different sub feeds or subgroups or sub rooms or things like that, it makes it very difficult. The other challenge is that I now have multiple cohorts of students who have participated, right? So there is value in having all of the alumni from all the cohorts in one part of the community, but then there is also value in having specific rooms for that cohort. So if I'm wanting to share, information that's specific to the cohort, I can share it in there, right? So it's you can kind of see how it starts getting a little bit confusing and challenging to try to manage all this in a Facebook private community, which is why I'm super excited that I am now migrating to something called Geneva. It's actually a platform that has been in beta for about 2 years or so. It's crazy. They've been building this in the background in beta. And I ultimately decided to go with Geneva, not just for the features that they have now, but kind of what's on their roadmap. And they have an app. That's the other really critical thing that I really wanted there to be a really, really easy way for people to just have an app that they had on their phone to be able to access the community really easily. And so, yeah, I'm super excited. I've already got a bunch of alumni in there, and people who have joined this cohort have already joined as well. So I'm really stoked about what, all the different things that we'll be able to do in that community. And the thing is too, is that, you'll be able to be a part of this community beyond the course, right? So once the course is over, you'll still have that community for at least the next 12 months to be able to interact with everyone and alumni and things like that. And so a lot of people have found value from that. The other thing too, just kind of not jumping too far ahead, but I've gotten feedback from my alumni that they have asked me to start a membership. And so this was not something that I had anticipated prior to doing the course, but a lot of people have wanted more robust support beyond the program. And so within Geneva, within that community, there's going to be an ability for me to have kind of subgroups in there. So yes, there'll be the course community that is included when you as a price of admission or the investment of doing the course. But then if there's, additional support that you want beyond the line or down the line beyond that, certain things that I'm going to be doing are additional monthly Zoom calls, for example, and things like that. So just kind of a peek behind the curtain. So that's one other thing. What's up, Aubrey? Good morning. Oh, Diana in the chat said that I looked at a lot of community platforms myself. I chose to go with Circle. I never heard of the one you just mentioned. Yeah, Diana, they actually just came out of beta a couple of weeks ago, and I was able to kind of get kind of a cool little quick little onboarding into their community. And so there's actually a couple other creators who I know who migrated their communities over there as well, who've been really pleased. And so, yeah, I'm excited to go down that path. Okay, so community, when is the next cohort? I talked about that. And then, the other thing too that I wanted to mention, a lot of people have actually asked if I'm not able to attend the classes live, am I still able to participate? And absolutely. Actually, in both of the previous 2 cohorts, we have had students who weren't able, just the timing didn't work with their schedule, and everything is recorded. So you can go back and watch the replay. And, not only is the instruction, the instruction that I'm doing, but also all the interaction, and the questions that other creators are having, all that stuff is recorded. So you can absolutely still participate. So when it comes to schedule, so as I mentioned, it's 4 weeks long, and it's once a week live Zoom calls, and the Zoom calls are about an hour and a half, something like that. Depends on how many questions people have. But yeah, usually try to get you out of there at after about an hour, but give time for Q&A and anyone who wants to stick around. And so the timing is, so it's June 10th. It's every Thursday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. And so this class starts on June 10th, next Thursday. Then it's June 17th, June 24th, and July 1st, and then we're out. And so there's a lot of information packed into 4 weeks, believe me. And so it's going to be really impactful. And, if you are not able to participate live, you absolutely can still join, and, you'll still gain access to the community. You can watch the replays and all that stuff. So, and we've actually had some people join for 2 of the classes out of the 4 and things like that. I really do encourage, you to try to participate live if you can, just because there's so much value in being able to, if you have a, question like that. That's the other thing about the course is that it's not me talking at you for 60 minutes, right? It's definitely not that, right? Like if there's a question that people have on slide 3, they interject and they unmute themselves and they said, hey, can I actually ask a question about that? So it's a very different experience than, I think a lot of other creators, think of courses like a college class or something, right? It's like you're just listening to your professor drone on at you for an hour or 2 hours or whatever, and it's super boring. It's not very engaging. Maybe there's a Q&A at the end. But my course is very much not like that intentionally, right? I want it to be more of a discussion. So yes, there is material that I'm teaching that to provide structure to the conversation, but it's very much about real life experiences. So a lot of creators are able to share oh yeah, this is great. This happened to me recently. Can we talk about this, right? So that's one of the biggest values. One of the biggest pieces of feedback that I've gotten from creators who have been alumni of the program is this very thing, which is that they have found so much value in being able to listen what other to other creators' experiences. Let me pull up the Instagram live chat. What's up, Weekday Dad? What's up, Mamasaurus Rex? What's going on? Mamasaurus Rex, I definitely will not forget your username because I remember you joined, and that's such a great username. So thanks for joining in. All Things Nat, it's Heart My World. Awesome. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, so that was another thing. Okay, so that was the schedule. Okay, yeah. So let me know in the chat if you have any questions about the program. I have made a list of other questions that I've gotten, and just other questions about brand deals. I'm happy to do that as well on this live stream. My time is your time, but I did want to give this opportunity to answer questions live because of the fact that the enrollment period is a lot shorter this time, and enrollment does end on Tuesdays. So any questions that you have here would be a great forum to do so. Okay, so that was a question about schedule. Okay, so this is another thing that I wanted to mention, which is that people have asked. I'm loading something in here. I'm going to try something cool today. But a lot of people have asked, I have had a lot of experience getting brand deals, right? I've been a creator for 3, 4, 5 years or whatever like that. And, I've made money making brand deal, doing brand partnerships and sponsorships over the years. Am I really what am I actually going to learn? Right. And so I've gotten that question quite a bit. And so I actually thought it would be fun on this live stream to actually pull up a live testimonial from a student in one of my first cohorts, Jessie, who is from the Coffee Mom. And so I'm going to pull up her testimonial here.
Hey, I'm Jessie. I am a content creator.
Let's do it live. Here we go. There.
Mom and the YouTube channel, The Bookish Mom. And I have been creating content and making income creating that content for about 4 years now. So when I had the opportunity to take Justin's brand deal wizard class, I honestly went in a little skeptical because I've been doing this for years. I've been making money on brand deals for years. What else am I going to learn? Honestly, this class blew my mind. It was so helpful, even for someone like me who's been consistently making an income doing this. I've been able to pitch higher rates. I have been more successful at my pitches, as well as finding the correct person to pitch to. That has been a huge one, being able to find the right people and get these just insider tips that Justin shares so extremely well. So if you are a content creator who has already been making money, who has worked with brands and thinks, I don't know, do I need a course? Do I really need this because I'm already doing it? My answer is yes. Definitely take Justin's course. It helped me so much. And I really like the community aspect of it. I got to meet some other amazing content creators, and there are now people that I talk to on a regular basis. So having that community, having that behind you, and then having all of Justin's insights in this brand deal course has been so phenomenal and so helpful. And it comes highly recommended by me. So definitely go check it out because it is worth your money.
There we go. What did you think of that? I thought that was pretty cool. I'm playing live videos on the live stream now too. Yeah. So I was so appreciative of Jesse's testimonial, and so like she said, she's been making income from being a creator, working with brands for several years. I think she said 4 years, right? And so it's been a long time for her, and so she found so much value out of it, especially from the pitching side. Like I think that that's one thing that is always very challenging for a lot of creators. Is like, okay, if I want to like reach out to a brand that would be like a perfect fit for my platforms, for my channel, for my blog, whatever it is, what do I actually say to them? Right. And so that's one thing, like one major thing that we cover in this is like thinking very strategically, not just about what you're saying to them, but how you can use the organic content that you're already posting to be able to make your pitch so much more compelling. I think that's like one element that's missing oftentimes from your pitch strategy. And so, she mentioned she's been able to pitch higher rates and just be more successful identifying who she should actually pitch to. One of the biggest like things that I've found with creators in terms of their pitching strategy is that they tend to get very tend to get very discouraged, right? Because let's say that they send out 20 pitches and they don't hear back from anyone. They will think that pitching doesn't work, right? Because they see this small sample size of like, oh, I just reached out to 20 people and no one responded, right? So pitching doesn't work. And then they give up on it, right? And you could see how that could happen, right? Because it could be very demoralizing. It's like, wow, I'm already busy and I just spent like all this time trying to pitch brands and no one responded. That sucks, right? But one of the strategies, like a lot of what I teach is like how you can have a much higher response rate by making your pitches be very, very specific. And I have a whole framework and methodology developed to do that because, April and I, I think we haven't mentioned in the past that, we've made over $3 million partnering with brands over the last number of years. And a lot of it has been about strategic pitching. We've been able to actually like reach out to brands and identify exactly who we should be reaching out to at these brands or at the agencies who represent the brands so that it's much more clear. And it's like, okay, it's not just going into a black hole. Like we have a good, a high level of confidence that this person that we're reaching out to is the right person. Right. And so, one of the things that just peek behind the curtains, one of the things that I love doing is we do actually like a live prospecting portion of the course where I'm like, okay, give me your dream brand. I will find you the person. I will show you how to find the right person at this brand to reach out to. So it's really fun. I don't know what they're going to say in advance, right? So it's like live. And so that's how adept you can become at finding the right contacts. And so, yeah, so I thought that was, Aubrey, Aubrey mentioned here in the chat, she said, getting fancy with the lives. Haha, I love it. Thank you. I appreciate that, Aubrey. And Ashley mentioned in the chat, how long do you have access to the course material? I missed it. So it's at least 12 months. But a lot of the supplementary material is all downloadable. It's all PDF, so you can save it to your drive and everything like that. I had just frankly, candidly, I'd considered doing like lifetime access and things like that. But so much, I got some advice from past course creators as well as a lot of other, people who have taken courses in the past and things like that. And lifetime access is actually not super useful because of the fact that I'm going to be developing so much material over the span of like creating content for you guys and creating courses and things like that. And so the format of how I'll do that, like for example, I changed the format of the course from 6 weeks to 4 weeks between the first cohort and the second cohort, right? So that's a major structural change in the course, right? And so I think part of it is needing to have the ability to allow you to graduate to additional things that I'm creating down the line, right? So the format of Brand Deal Wizard may change in a year. I really just don't know. And so like that's a very specific example, right? So I had my brand attraction audit component of the course that I actually removed out of the course and made it its own little mini course because I, number one, wanted to make the course a little bit more affordable because previously it was $1,500 and now it's under $1,000 now, right? And so that was one major change that I wanted to make. So you'll be able to download all the stuff. You'll be able to like watch the replays and everything for at least 12 months. So Ashley, hopefully that's helpful. Okay, and speaking of Aubrey, you're here in the chat. I don't know if you knew this was going to happen, but let's hear Aubrey's testimonial because Aubrey had some really interesting things to say as well.
So I had very little confidence when it came to approaching brands, let alone be able to land a deal with them. Justin was able to give such easy and actionable steps that I was able to implement right away, and it was very easy to understand. Something that seemed impossible or very complex, he was able to break it down in actionable steps that actually made sense. He not only showed us how to pitch brands successfully, but also how to master relationships after the fact so that you can get reoccurring deals. Totally genius. I was able to land my first really big brand deal with one of my favorite brands, and I was just so thankful and excited that it came a lot faster than I was expecting. But Justin really gives you that confidence on how to be able to handle that and to charge what you're worth, which is really important. If there's anything that I could say about Justin, is that he is very inspiring, encouraging, and truly wants you to win. So that's someone that you really want to be by your side. I think Justin has like this unique perspective because he's also an influencer, but also a CEO of an agency. So he can understand both sides. He's kind of like a double-ended sword in the industry. So if anyone's going to be by your side to help you with your brand deals, it's got to be him. He's like the go-to person. You're not going to be disappointed and you get nothing but value. So good luck.
Dang, thank you, Aubrey. I appreciate that so much. She said you get nothing but value. Boom. I appreciate that so much, Aubrey. Pulling up this comment, Aubrey said, Ashley, it's totally worth it. So you've got your testimonial there. And so Aubrey, again, thank you so much for the kind testimonial. I think that I had another question here in IG that I wanted to bring up here, which is that it's my heart, my world. It said, you mentioned it's not good for someone who hasn't had a deal yet. Would it not be helpful to get the first deal from what I can learn in the workshop? Great question. So this course definitely is designed for, so I'll say this. I do have a course coming out later in the year called Gifted to Paid. And that one is focused on, if you're earlier on in your social media journey, let's say that you haven't done a ton of paid brand partnerships in the past. You want to gain more experience working with brands. Maybe you're getting a lot of free product, but you haven't done, really a lot of like paid work. That course will probably be ideal for you. The way I look at it is that that's going to essentially take you from like 0 to 1, essentially to kind of get you over that hump of like gaining the experience and confidence of working with brands. And then this course is going to take you, Brand Deal Wizard will take you from 1 to N essentially. The main reason why I say that is that a lot of the tactics that I do teach you are a little bit more kind of intermediate to advanced. And so I didn't want it to be kind of this giant fire hose of information and not super actionable things that you can steps. But I will say that there have been some students who have taken the course who essentially got their first big brand deal during the course. And so it definitely is something that I wanted to mention. But that's a great question. And so, again, I will be, the other thing too, is that obviously the major difference is like the investment, right? So the Gifted to Paid course is going to be a couple $100. And then this course is obviously about $1,000. And so it's just a different type of investment. So, if you are serious about like, hey, I'm going to make a major investment in this, like, look at it. If you are going to like go to a university, right, you're going to spend tens of thousands of dollars, right, on your university experience with not super tactical or not super marketable skills when you get out of there, right? But as some of the testimonials that I'm showing you, I hope have made clear, is that you are getting like a very clear, like a very direct ROI on this, right? For a relatively modest investment of $1,000, right? If you're able to make an additional $1,000 on that next deal, not to mention all of the deals that you're going to make, that you're going to get in the future after doing the program, it's a very, in my opinion, a very clear-cut ROI, return on investment, right? And in fact, I've had like multiple students who like have gone from, let's say, charging like $500 for a video or an in-feed post on Instagram or a TikTok or a blog post or whatever to literally 5 figures. like for the same number of deliverables, because what I teach is not just about like finding the brands and not just about pitching, but it's about understanding what the brand or what that agency is trying to get out of that partnership. They're trying to understand. Once you understand that, it's so much easier to negotiate with them because you can speak their language and understand how to customize a package or a proposal to be like, hey, I understand this is what you're trying to accomplish. I understand like this is what success looks like to you for this partnership. Here's what I can offer to you. It's going to be boom, 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 boom. It's not just like a one line, oh yeah, my rate is this for what you asked. No, you need to be so much more strategic about that. And then the other thing too that I want to mention is that I know that there's like other courses and other programs out there that focus on pitching primarily and things like that. And I want to be very clear that I definitely do talk about pitching in this, but it is just one small component. It's like one module out of 4, right? So pitching is like, there's so much more that goes into having a robust income doing brand partnerships than just pitching. So I want to make that very clear that this is not just a pitching course. Yes, pitching is a part of having this, having a, like making a lot of, making like thinking a lot more strategically about how you're making income from this. There was a graphic. I wish I should have pulled the graphic up, but like there was a sample size of 2,000 creators that were polled, and something like 86% of them said that like brand deals was the biggest bucket of their income, of their revenue. And so like brand partnerships like has become a very important part of most creators' income. These days, especially if you're like in a kind of a family friendly or easy to monetize niche, like family or lifestyle or travel or beauty or lifestyle or fashion, whatever it is, right? Food, right? So brand partnerships, like you can make so much more money doing this. Like I've talked about in the past that like, one of the main reasons that we maintain a presence on YouTube these days, yes, it's to like maintain an intimate connection with our audience, but we're not making a ton of money on AdSense these days. We don't have sky high viewership on a monthly basis, right? So yes, we're making some money, but like 95% of the income that we make from our YouTube channels in particular is from brand partnerships. 5 years ago, it was AdSense. Like it's a complete flip-flop from where it was before. So that's how lucrative it can be if you know how to forge these types of partnerships. So again, yes, we talk about pitching in this course for sure. But it's just one component of it. So much, like there is no course out there that really talks about how to, like one of the things Jesse talked about in that testimonial was how to maintain relationships with these brands long-term and build these protracted relationships so you have some certainty of income, right? So many creators, I've talked about this before, like essentially fire themselves from their 9-to-5 jobs every single month. They get a brand deal and then they never talk to the brand again. It's like, how boneheaded is that, right? Like, I get it. It's definitely difficult if most of the partnerships that you've done to date have been from the brand deal platforms, because it is hard. It's harder to maintain, to establish like a longer term relationships with those. And so one of the things I do teach in the course is like how to establish those direct brand or those direct agency. And when I say agency, I mean advertising agency, PR agency, media agencies, right? Establishing those direct relationships because it's so much easier to maintain a relationship directly. So I just wanted to make that point of clarification. Yes. Oh my gosh. There we go. Ashley saying, yes, girl, I'm already sold. I'm just trying to get those April brand deals. Yes, exactly. I think, Ashley was responding to Aubrey. Yes, exactly. What's up, At Home with Savvy? Oh, if you guys are not following At Home with Savvy, you definitely got to go follow him. He has some amazing stuff on his feed. What's up? My name is Kara. What's up, Kara? I am Kiana Thomas. What's up, Kiana? Elise in the chat said, Fernandez in here as well. Fernandez is an alumni of the program as well. Elise said, Justin, I tried so many times to work with brands, but I'm not successful. Let me know more, Elise in the chat. Like, what is it about? Like, what have you been doing? I'm curious. Like, what are the tactics that you've tried? What has not been successful for you? Maybe we can workshop this out a little bit for you. Laura Gold in the chat. Raya, Shop Gold Look. So let me know, Elise. I'm curious, like, why it hasn't worked for you. Have you guys? This is not sponsored at all, but like, have you? This seems very sponsored, but have you guys tried Hint? It's so delicious. It's 0 calories and 0 sweeteners. This is the raspberry flavor. And we bought like a 12 pack or something at the grocery store the other day. And we like drank them in like literally like 2 days. And cause they have so many different flavors. And then I ordered like a 36 pack or something on Amazon, and man, they're so delicious. So you got to try these. Hey, Fernando, what's up? Diana in the chat. No, but it looks so good. Yes, Coco, they're very good. Diana in the chat said, I have not jumped on the brand deal bus yet, but I'm learning so much from your videos. Thank you for that. Yes. So, and yes, Coco. And by the way, Coco was on my workshop last week. Coco, let me know in the chat, give people your little experience. You gave me some really valuable feedback, privately over email, but yeah, those of you who did notice that I wasn't on live stream last week, is because I did a Zoom workshop. I'm trying like some new formats and things like that out. And this was a really fun workshop. It was quite affordable. It was only $40 and was all about, how to attract more brands. And so one of the things that I'm going to be doing is, I did this live workshop to kind of test out this new format, but I'm going to, of the material that I taught in that workshop, for those of you who weren't able to attend, I'm going to be recording videos for that. And I'm going to be releasing a little mini course with, some of the things that I was teaching in there. So I'm excited for that one too. I'm just experimenting, y'all. I don't know what I'm doing. Most of the time I feel like I have no idea what I'm doing. And so I'm trying this out now. Hey, what's up, Sarah? Keto Twins. Thanks for tuning in. On the topic of Fernanda is in the IG chat. Sorry to like spring this on you, Fernanda, but I'd love to pull up Fernanda's testimonial from Brand Deal Wizard. Let's do this. Let me pull it up if I can. Maybe, I think I might have... yeah, here it is. Okay, here we go.
Before joining Brand Deal Wizard, I was really struggling with seeing where my income was going to come from as a creator. I knew that I wanted to do more brand deals to increase my income, but brands weren't coming to me and I had no idea how to reach out to brands. One of the most invaluable things I learned in Brand Deal Wizard was learning how to find the right contact at a brand to target, how to find their contact information so that I actually know that I'm contacting the right person, and most importantly, how to craft the pitches to those brands. A change I've noticed in myself as a creator was simply in how far in advance I start to plan my YouTube content. I've noticed that doing this allows me to look for brand-friendly content, and then it gives me plenty of time to go and find a sponsor for the content that I already want to create, that I know that my audience already wants to watch. It has been a game changer. If you are considering joining Brand Deal Wizard, I promise you it is 100% worth the investment. You will not regret it.
Thank you, Fernanda. I appreciate that so much. I know your face was a little cut off in the IG chat because you guys know I'm streaming on like a bunch of different platforms right now. So I think you were sitting a little off center there. So you could see part of your face there, Fernanda. But thank you so much for the testimonial. That was so appreciated. Oliver is dropping some gems here in the chat here. So I want to mention this here, which is Oliver said, "Hey guys, Justin is totally right. Brand deals can be massive, even for small influencers. For example, I signed my first deals with just 2,500 subs, right? So while those deals didn't pay that much in the beginning, they did allow me to start working full-time on YouTube with less than 5,000 subscribers, everyone. Now I'm making over 30,000 a year with a channel that has less than 8,000 subs. Wow. However, I would note that brand deals are also a lot of work, and the best strategy would be to have a combination of brand deals and digital products or coaching or whatever. I love this one. Think of AdSense as a nice holiday bonus, right? Because that's a really, really great point, Oliver. And I appreciate that so much, because I think, especially on YouTube, a lot of people think that AdSense, it's just like, that's my milestone. It's like, once I get to, monetize, that's going to be a big like milestone. And for sure, it is a milestone. But I hope you know that unless you're doing 1 million views a month or more, you're not going to be making much meaningful income. Yes, it's going to be like, a nice side income, but it's not going to be enough to like replace your like full-time job or 9-to-5 job or whatever, unless you're starting to get millions of views every month on YouTube, right? So AdSense, it is so much easier to start making like in a much more like accelerated timeline. It's a lot easier to work with brands and make real income, even if you don't have a ton of followers in the beginning. Like Oliver said, it can be a very nice income, like side income, holiday bonus or whatever. But don't look at that. I don't believe that it should be your primary focus. And let me give a caveat there, which is that I understand, like when you're a smaller creator and you're kind of in growth mode, right? Yes. Like I understand you're trying to like grow your following, grow your engagement and things like that. And so, achieving monetization and achieving those types of high level like viewership and subscribership metrics, followership metrics is important for that. I totally acknowledge that. But if you are looking to make serious income as a creator, as an influencer, you really do need to think much more seriously about your brand partnership strategy. Because one of the things that I talk about is that you do not need to have a lot of followers, a lot of subscribers to make make a serious income, right? And what I teach people is that you can look at your platform, look at your page as your portfolio, right? So rather than the main pitch being, hey, like I will talk about, your brand or your, product on my page, it's much more about, hey, like I know how to create compelling content. I am a social media creator. I will actually make content for you for you to utilize on your social media platforms, for you to utilize on your website, for you to utilize for paid advertising on your page, right? Because like one thing I think a lot of creators don't think about, which is that it's expensive to create content as a brand. If let's say I minimum, if I'm like a big brand, I'm looking minimum for a TV, ad to spend at least $250,000 just on the creation of the ad, just for the production budget. Right? To hire the actors and the actresses, to hire the production crew, the, cinematographer, the photographers, to take still photos on set and all that stuff. And then you have to pay for the media. So then you have to pay the, the TV stations, you have to pay the, social platforms like Facebook and Instagram and all this stuff to actually run the ad, right? So, yes, that's for the large brands, but even for, let's say a mid-sized brand, right? To create content just for like social media first ads, it's still tens of thousands of dollars. So if you can come in there and say, hey, I will make you, 5 to 10 very compelling assets, whether it's photos or videos or TikToks or reels or whatever, long form video content, whatever, for $1,000 a month, right? Like that is like music to their ears, because not only, you could even, yes, you can have like organic distribution on your platform as part of the pitch, right? So not only will I create these assets that you can utilize in all these other ways, but I will actually create the content for you and post it on my page as well. So again, like that's one of the things that I teach in the course. This is a kind of a very simplistic example of that, but I think one of the major things that I do is I just pump you full of confidence for 4 weeks straight, and then I let you on your merry way. And yes, there's still support in the communities and things like that, but you emerge from this course like a completely different creator, a completely different person, transformed with confidence, so that you when you do enter into these types of negotiations, these types of conversations with brand partners, it's just like it's a total night and day difference. Let's see. Hey, what's up, Urban Live? Oh, Laura Gold in the IG chat said, do most brands require YouTube nowadays, or is IG and TikTok sufficient? Yeah, I mean, for sure. Like there's lots and lots of creators who don't have a large YouTube presence and mainly, maintain like Instagram and TikTok. I think that's totally fine. If that's the type of, like content that you're creating. Here's the exercise that I think is important. And I actually talked about this a little bit in the workshop, the Zoom workshop that I did last week, but the main thing that I would note is what content vertical are you in? And you need to go out there and see, okay, what types of brands, like for a creator of my type. Actually, Fernanda, I hope you don't mind if I don't know if you're still on the chat, but like I want to call her out a little bit here, because it is something that we talked about in the cohort that she was in, which is that she's a fashion creator. And she has been going kind of all in on YouTube. And one of her comments was like, most fashion brands think Instagram is kind of like table stakes for creators these days, right? They're going to want to, yes, like YouTube is important, but they're going to want to have some like social media amplification on Instagram, right? So if you don't have a robust Instagram presence, that could be a problem for some fashion brands, right? So the main exercise that I would recommend, Laura, is that you don't necessarily like need to I'm not going to say it's a mandatory requirement, but if you do want brand partnerships to be a part of your like business, your creator business strategy, I would definitely like think of like, what are all the platforms that I need to be on for these types of brands? And so in Fernanda's specific example, I think fashion is a good example, like YouTube and Instagram. Yes, there are definitely creators who don't have YouTube, right? They're fashion creators and they're just kind of like Instagram forward. Like here's the main note that I would give here is that, I don't think it's wise to maintain a presence on just one platform, right? I don't think it's wise to maintain in general, not just for brand partnerships, but just for diversification perspective, right? What happens if Instagram suspends your account? What happens if TikTok suspends your account? Like one example I'll give is I follow a person on Twitter, actually. So I know we don't talk a lot about like Twitter in the realm of like, you know, creating partnerships with brands and stuff, but like he has had a very engaged audience on Twitter, and he had a couple different Twitter accounts that were all a little bit the same but slightly different. And Twitter, one day he woke up and they suspended all of his accounts. He had like several 100,000 followers across the accounts, and he had like a very engaged audience. He had courses and he had merchandise and all this stuff. He was kind of in the design space. And Twitter basically said like, all your accounts are too similar and you're creating too much. You're like, there's no reason that you should be having like multiple of these accounts. So luckily, like some of the people who followed him had some contacts at Twitter. And that's another example. Like if you've ever tried to reach out to some of these social platforms, whenever something like this happens, it's impossible. You can't get in touch with a real human. You know, you have to wait days and days and days to get a response. And then it's like an automated canned response. We have reviewed your account and there's no, you know, we are not reinstating you, or there's nothing wrong. We have deemed, you know, blah, 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 blah. So it's like a nightmare. Right. And so luckily he was able to, like, some of the people that follow him on an account that he ddid still have access to were able to like put him, you know, in touch with people at Twitter who were able to reinstate some of his accounts. They ultimately decided that there were some of his accounts that they were not going to reinstate. So they gave him access to like his largest one again, thankfully. But then they are like it's a permanent suspension on those other ones. So like, think about that. Like, what if your account gets permanently suspended and this is like a major source of livelihood for you? So like one of the things that I think is really critical to do is, for example, start an email list ASAP. Oh my goodness. Just like be able to have a direct connection with your audience so that if something like that does happen, you have an ability to like contact them directly and say, hey, like, you know, here's another way to, you know, here's my new platform. If you have to start a new one, or again, you just have a direct way to access them. And it's not like forever, like held captive by the social platform. So, you know, to answer like long story short, Laura, it's not mandatory to like, you know, diversify your presence across all the different social platforms, especially if you don't have the time to do it. But more from like a business savviness perspective, I think it's really critical to you know, think a little bit more broadly about all the different, you know, ways in which you're able to connect with the people who have said that they want to stay updated on the content that you're creating. Right. Let me take a swig. Okay, so I want to answer just a few other questions that I've gotten about the course. Which is that, so I've taken other courses on how to make money as an influencer. Like, how is this one different? and so again, I've talked a little bit about this, but you know, in my opinion and in my experience, from some of the feedback that I've gotten from other creators is that, I actually have one creator in particular who's actually working on a testimonial for me right now, and I wish I could play it, but it's not quite ready. And she has said that she has spent thousands of dollars on courses over the years, and Brand Deal Wizard is like literally complete like step function change, order of magnitude value from those other courses. The feedback that I got was that she felt that it was all about upselling for those other courses. It was like, oh, like you have to buy this workshop, and then, you know, I'm only going to give you like this little morsel of information, and then you have to like invest in this other module or invest in this other course or whatever. And that was never my intention when I created Brand Deal Wizard. I wanted it to be a soup to nuts, comprehensive strategy of like how to make a lot of income working with brands. And so, like I said, it's not just about pitching. It's also about how to actually execute the partnership so that you do it accurately and you blow their minds with the quality of the content that you're creating. You might think that that's like the easiest part of creating a you know, content in partnership with a brand, but no, there's so much that goes into actually doing it accurately and ensuring that you're not having to do a bunch of rounds of revisions, and you're just like working smarter and not harder and not having to reshoot. I can't tell you how many creators I talk to where it's like seems like a normal thing to them, where it's like, oh yeah, I gotta like reshoot it or refilm it. And I'm just like, really? Like, that's limiting your ability to go out there and do more brand partnerships because you're wasting all of this time, when in reality you could have like had this checklist where you're being a lot smarter about like asking the brand all these questions, really like going through the brief in detail. That's one thing I talk about is like, all the things that you need to look out for in the brief that, you know, just because the brand sends you the brief, the creative brief, don't just accept that. Don't just say like, okay, thanks. And then like look at it the night before. No, like you need to look at it right away and see what they're missing. Because oftentimes there's a lot of brands who either haven't done a lot of partnerships with influencers before, so they don't know to include it in an influencer brief. And quick side note, like if you don't know or not familiar with an influencer brief, essentially it's a 1 to 2 page like document that the brand should send you that outlines exactly what you have to talk about or show in your content. And if they're not sending you that, that's a big problem. Like that's red flag number 1, right? So I talk about that in the course is like, how do you know what to look for in the brief, right? And this comes with just like doing hundreds of brand partnerships, my wife and I, as well as, you know, I run an influencer agency called Trending Family, and we have created and helped brands create these influencer briefs. So we know what to look for, right? So we've seen hundreds of these influencer briefs over the years, and you know they're not all made equal. They're not all created equal. Let's just say that. So it's your job as a professional creator, if you want to make income doing this, to like go through the brief with a fine tooth comb and basically flag to them before you even start production, before you even start shooting. You flag to them like, hey, like this is, you know, I still need information here, or this doesn't make sense to me. It's not really going to work with the concept that I have in mind, and get buy-in on that beforehand. Right. So again, and then, you know, that's one part of the course. So the pitching, and then actually execution of the content, posting accuracy and case studies. Right. Like that's absolutely critical. Most like 98% of creators that I talk to, like, don't they like have a blank like expression on their face when I talk about case studies? They're like, what is case studies? Right. And so it's just like, how can you craft, you know, a narrative about how successful the partnership was so that future brands know how amazing you're going to be. And that, by the way, you can increase your rates because it's like very clear to them that they're going to get a return on investment from partnering with you, right? And then, like I said, nurturing the brand, nurturing these relationships so you're not constantly out there having to hustle for your next deal. That is one of the other big pieces of feedback that I got from creators when I put this program together, which is just that it's just exhausting. You get the deal and then you have to just go back out there and hustle for the next one. Right? That's no way to run a business. More than 50% of the brand partnership opportunities that we have, my wife and I have on a monthly basis, comes from existing partnerships that we have done in the past. And we have this very robust Rolodex that we have, you know, established over the years. And so we can continue to tap into those relationships. So it's much more about like maintaining those relationships, ensuring that you are continuing to provide value to those people in the downtime, even when you're not in a current partnership with them. Because again, it all comes back around. Like advertising agencies in particular, it's so critical because they represent lots of brands, right? And so you better believe that if you do one amazing, you know, partnership or one amazing collaboration with one of their clients, they're going to remember you for the next time a campaign comes around for another client. And they can actually tell that client like, hey, yeah, we actually, you know, did a campaign with this creator for another client that we represent. You know, we can vouch for them that they're going to be amazing. How powerful is that when they can give that testimonial to their client, right? So that's kind of what, you know, some of the things I talk about in the last module in the course. So again, in my opinion, this course is night and day difference from other ones out there. I will say though that I'm a big fan of anyone out there helping educate creators, because there is not a lot of literature. There's not a lot of courses. There's not a lot of education out there for creators to get better at their craft. There's starting to be more and more of them, which again, like I am a huge fan of. I think it's absolutely critical to, you know, help people become more savvy with their businesses. That's why, honestly, why I created the channel to begin with and started pumping out content, which is like, how can you just be better at what you do? And so anyone who's out there doing that, I'm a fan of. Yes, there's like some that are better than others for sure, but everyone has their tribe. I've said this before that like, I am going to have my tribe. They're going to have their tribes, and like what they're doing to like educate creators, I think is wonderful. And we need more. There's like thousands and thousands of universities out there around the world. And so I think that there are, you know, room for thousands and thousands of other people who are out there helping train creators. And I will say that I think the one unique perspective that I have and that I do bring to the table in this course is that not only have my wife and I made millions of dollars working with brands over the years ourselves personally, but I've also run an influencer agency, right? And I've paid out over $2 million to other creators too. Right. So there is just a different perspective that comes from like being on the other side of the table of like actually bringing deals to creators and being in the room with these brands and with these agencies and understanding what is the criteria that they're using to actually hire influencers, right? If you have a deck of 50 influencers or a deck of 100 influencers, and they all have like similar size followings and engagement levels and similar type of content and things like that, how can you differentiate them? How can you choose between them? There are things that they can do, right? And so that's the perspective that I bring is like, okay, this is a business transaction. This is a business relationship. How can you show yourself in the best light so that they want to partner with you again and again and again, right? That is a hard perspective to have if you've never been on that side. And so that's really what I bring to the table here. And again, like the live nature of the course, I think is another big differentiator is that, you know, doing this live over Zoom and like, it's one thing to like do these live streams and I love doing them, but I'm not able to like, you know, pass the microphone, pass the camera to someone else who's in the live chat right now and ask a question, you know, directly related to like something that happened to them on a recent negotiation or a recent pitching, things like that. Right. So, those are some of the major differences. And Oliver said one thing in the chat here, which I just wanted to highlight, which is that it can be really hard to start if you don't have any sales experience. This is why I think having a mentor like Justin can speed up your journey a lot. You know, that's one other piece of feedback that I got a lot, Oliver, and I appreciate you flagging that from other creators as well, is that having I think Fernandez also mentioned this, having a confidence to do kind of like sales, because that's really what it is at the end of the day when it comes to pitching and reaching out to brands and things like that, which is just like you need to be able to like face rejection and not let that get at your ego. I had, I'm just going to like call out one of my alumni from the course, Melissa. This was something that she struggled with, was just like the confidence aspect. It was like, man, if they're like not responding to me, or if I send out 10 emails and they're not responding, like that's hard. Right. And I'll totally acknowledge that definitely can be challenging. It's when you can get past that and understand that, number one, lack of a response is not a rejection, right? Sometimes these people are busy. It's not like they're actively like looking at your email and being like, I'm not going to respond to this person, right? Yeah, maybe sometimes they do that, but either a lack of response or them actually saying no, you are no worse off. Right? You are no worse off if those things happen. So if you send out 20 messages and you get no response or no on some of them, you are literally no worse off. You've lost a little bit of time, but that's it. All it takes is one brand to say yes. And that's exactly what happened with Melissa. Right. And we talk about some of the ways in which, I mentioned like how you can create organic content and get on brands' radars to do that. But that's really what it takes. Once you get to that first yes, it just like is an absolute boost to your confidence and helps you understand that to some degree, this is a numbers game. And there are ways in which you can do outreach that are way more strategic than just like scattershot. You know, what I teach in the course is not like sliding in the brand's DMs and be like, hey, I love your brand. I love your product. Let's collaborate. That is not a pitch. I'm sorry. If that's what you've been doing today, let me know in the chat if you're guilty of that. And that's okay. This is a judgment-free zone. Right? Because that's like so much of my experience. Like that's so much of like that's what like people call pitching. And that is not it. That is not it at all. It's like way more specific. It's way more purposeful than that. Again, a big part of it is like identifying exactly who at the brand you should be reaching out to. So that, this isn't just going into a black hole. And it's not just going into the abyss, into a void. So that's just another thing. So I've got like, man, I can't believe how quickly this, again, it always seems like it goes by super quickly. If you've got any questions about brand deals or about my Brand Deal Wizard program, I'll just mention again, for those of you who joined partway through, I am enrollment for cohort number 3 of my Brand Deal Wizard training program is open now. Enrollment ends on Tuesday, the 8th, and class starts on the 10th. It's a 4-week program. There's one class per week. It's an hour to an hour and a half of live instruction over Zoom. It's super interactive. And you know, I do instruction, but people stop me all the time and ask questions based on their own experience. One of the biggest things that I think most creators have found value from, again, is like hearing from other creators and their experiences and learning from them. And so if you're interested in finding out more information, you can go to branddealwizard.com. That's branddealwizard.com. Let me pull up a fancy caption. Boom. Those of you who are in the IG chat, you may not be able to see this, but on YouTube, Facebook, etc., LinkedIn, branddealwizard.com. I would love to have you. We've already got some people enrolled, which I'm super excited about. We've got a new community platform that we're using for this cohort called Geneva. It's just going to be a blast. Every cohort, the material and the instruction is improving. The quality of the students is improving. All the students were awesome in the previous cohorts too, but honestly, I think what it is that as word spreads and as people are getting more and more results and people are filming more and more testimonials for me and writing amazing testimonials and stuff, I think it's exciting. Like the word is just spreading more quickly and things like that. So yeah, I'm just super excited to do the next cohort. Again, class starts on June 10th. So and I mentioned as well, the next cohort's not going to be probably till late September. So if this is something that you still have some ambitious goals to make, income this year as a creator, I would definitely recommend doing it this cohort. We'd love to have you, and it would be a blast. And I one of the things that has been really cool about the cohorts is that there's been a lot of diversity of content creators in the program. So like food and fashion and family and lifestyle and travel and all this stuff. Tech. We had a tech creator last time too. So we have another tech creator in this upcoming cohort. I love that because it provides a different type of perspective, I think, and like different creative ways in which you can pitch brands, like based on experiences from other creators in the program. Awesome. What's up, Lexi Beauty? Thanks for joining. So let me know if you have any questions in the chat, but otherwise I'm so appreciative for everyone for joining. You show up every single Friday, and I'm so appreciative of that. I hope you do find value in, the content that I create. I've got some really awesome, videos that are coming out like soon. The other thing that I wanted to mention is I filmed a video that I really want you guys to watch. Last week, it was called 6 Questions That Brands Ask Before Hiring Influencers. It's on my YouTube channel, on my IGTV. And there was a really awesome article that came out from later.com. If you're not on their newsletter, you should definitely subscribe. It's like a free newsletter. But it was actually an article meant for brands of like, hey, these are the things that you should like look out for before you like do an influencer campaign. And I was like, you know what? Like, this is actually really helpful for creators, right? Because, if you know what's in the head of these brands when they're actually like looking to recruit creators for paid campaigns, you can be so much more prepared. And so I did a whole video talking about like how you can interpret this as a creator. And so go check that out on my YouTube channel. It's called, again, 6 Questions That Brands Ask Before Hiring Influencers. I would definitely recommend watching that one. And again, if you're on my email list, I'm going to restart the brand deal opportunity emails that I pump out every single Thursday. Next week, this is just kind of a special little week because of the course enrollment. So again, if you are on the fence and you're not really sure if like the Brand Deal Wizard program is right for you, shoot me an email, DM me. My email is just justin@creatorwizard.com. Happy to answer any questions that you have, or just DM me. I'd love to talk with you, answer any questions that you have. Thank you again so much for tuning in every Friday. And I will see you next Friday. Thanks again, everyone. Bye.